What do you think the Browns are thinking about this news about the settling of lawsuits?
They got to think this is great news for them because it dramatically reduces the headaches, the distractions, the diversions that are swirling around the franchise. And now they're not looking at the possibility of all of the 2023 offseason devoted to however many cases they can try then all of the 2024 offseason devoted to however many more cases they try then. And then whatever's left over, who knows? This shrinks it down to something far more manageable. And hopefully it's a step toward, from Watson's perspective, a step toward getting the other 4 cases resolved, finding an acceptable bottom line. Maybe these other 4 just simply want more money. Maybe they are holding out for more, but they think that their rights were violated to a greater degree. They want to see him dig deeper than what he's digging for the first 20. So there's a chance that this is step 1 toward all 24 being gone. And I know from my experience when I practiced law, once you get a defendant who has multiple lawsuits, whatever it is, corporate, individual, whatever, once the wallet's out, it becomes a lot easier to just be done with it. You just want to be done with it.
What if somebody doesn't want to be done with it? What if Ashley Solis, who is the first and clearly has been the leader of this packet, as it appears, just by reading and seeing and how she might be inspiring, have inspired others to come forward. What if she just wants to take this to trial? What would mean?
Then it goes. And it'll go next year at some point between March 1 and August 1 of 2023. And it will be a protracted fight. And one of the big issues will be how much of the evidence regarding other claims made against Deshaun Watson will even be allowed to come into evidence. And there'll be a verdict at some point. Barring a settlement, this thing goes to trial, and there's a verdict rendered by a jury. And it's a crapshoot at that point. It's like flipping a coin. I mean, it really is. And Deshaun Watson could have won all 24 of these cases, but the reality is it's like flipping a coin and having it come up heads 24 straight times.
But does
because you have a different jury in every case.
But does that get televised, Mike? Though, like that's what I'm saying. It's just because.
Well, I don't know what the law or the rule would be in the courtroom. That has, every court has its own laws.
Right.
Some will only do the Tom Brady melted face sketch, and others will park the cameras there and let the whole thing be televised.
Yeah, you're referring to the worst sketch drawing in the history of sketch drawings that occurred.
His own personal Dorian Gray portrait.
Deflategate from back in the day. Again, the only reason why I asked that is it's just the protractedness of it is what can continue to make whatever penalty the league levies less effective or seem less toothy, right? Because you're learning more and you're hearing more, and the court of public opinion can get more sour on the player and the handling of all of this. That's the only reason why I ask. So
It's a good point, Rich, and here's the reality. The NFL could impose a punishment now and then come back to it later based upon what happens as the case unfolds. However many are left, 1, 2, 3, 4, or more. There could still be others who file a lawsuit. That's a different wrinkle altogether. And Tony Busby, as a practical matter, may now be less inclined to try to file other cases. It may be kind of a wink nod between him and Rusty Hardin that he's out of the Deshaun Watson business. You can't put that in writing for ethical reasons, but there can be an understanding that Tony Busby isn't going to file any more of these lawsuits. But as it relates to the NFL, the problem is with this third party who's now involved, you better truly have something new. It can't just be, well, we thought we understood the evidence and we thought that it was going to be no verdict or a small verdict, and it ends up being $10 million, so we feel compelled to impose a greater punishment on him based on the facts we already knew. That's not going to fly. It would have to be truly something new that they didn't know, couldn't have known, shouldn't have known if they want to swing back around later. If the verdict in any of these remaining cases make the punishment seem like it was too lenient. That's the big risk they take by punishing now. With one or more cases going forward, there could be a statement from a jury that creates the impression that the NFL failed to go far enough.
But the fact that he settled doesn't mean that the league or the person who is looking into all of this goes more lenient, is essentially what that statement from McCarthy
not at all. I think it makes it more likely there's going to be a suspension, not that there wasn't going to be.
Right.
I heard last year that the Dolphins believed that there was going to be, it was either 6 or 8 games if he had settled all of the cases. Because remember, the Dolphins, they had the right idea. we want all the cases settled before we're going to do the trade. The Browns should have insisted on that in March. And the Dolphins, they may not have even had any basis for this. They may have been wrong in their assessment, but it was somewhere in the neighborhood of 6 or 8 games if he had settled them all back then. But in recent weeks, it feels like it's taken more of a negative turn against Deshaun Watson. So it's going to be compelling to see what happens. And they could propose a year, and the disciplinary officer could knock it down to half a year, and then Roger Goodell maybe picks a midpoint between the two as the end result on appeal, and he misses 12 games. Who knows? It's all to be determined, but they need to determine it pretty soon because you've got multiple steps that need to play out before the season starts.